Welcome to Kings Spotlight. This week we are joined by Kings College football coach Jeff Knarr. Coach, thanks for being with us again this week.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Coach, this week your Monarchs will be playing host to Middle Atlantic Conference co-leader Albright College, which is tied for first place in the MAC with Delaware Valley, with a 4-0 overall record and a 3-0 conference mark. Kings currently stands at 2-2 and comes off a heartbreaking 44-41 loss to Lycoming College on a touchdown with 0:42 left on the clock, making our conference record 1-2. Coach, before we look ahead to Albright, let's briefly revisit that Lycoming game. What are your thoughts about the game, your team's efforts, and how the game played out?
I thought our kids, again, we played hard and gave tremendous effort, and at times we had great execution. At times we didn't, execute the way we wanted to or the way we can. So that's what we're, working on, just trying to be consistent and play 4 quarters and make things a little easier on ourselves and not have to be in these emotional, roller coaster games. And, so we've gone over the things that we, didn't execute as well and working on them and building on the things that we're doing well, because that'll help us, down the road.
Yeah. Coach, you won a turnover battle in the game, forcing 3 Lycoming turnovers, while Kings only had 1 turnover. The penalties also came into play and had an impact on the outcome of the game.
Yeah, obviously our one turnover resulted in a touchdown. For them, trying to do more maybe than what's asked, and then penalties. It's about fundamentals, and then things get on. The holds on offense, and then a couple holds on defense. It's just executing your technique, and we constantly work with the kids from individual. Then you apply it to group, then you apply it to team, then you got to be able to apply it into the game and be able to handle that situation. So some of the things that were an issue that we're working on in practice, because we need to clean up the penalties that we talked about. Hidden yardage that occurs with penalties, hidden yardage in the kick game. You want to win those those deals, and then always want to win the turnover battle. And then if you have them, you try to minimize the damage. And unfortunately, they were able to maximize to capacity their 1 turnover as it resulted in a touchdown.
Coach, you've been involved in games not decided until the last minute 3 of the 4 times you have played this season. A 30-27 win over Moravian in the season opener wasn't decided until a quarterback sack by Aaron Vasquez with 51 seconds left. In a 44-39 win over Lebanon Valley 2 weeks ago, the game wasn't decided until a Kings touchdown with 25 seconds left, and then an interception by Eli Vasquez with 4 seconds left. And then last week's loss at Lycoming was on a touchdown with 0:42 on the clock. Coach, how are you holding up, and how much grayer has your hair gone the last few weeks?
My hair is pretty gray as it is. So I'm sure there's a few more, in there. But we kind of, move on. The thing we, talk to our kids about it. 24 hours if you win and enjoy it. If you, 24 hours to kind of, feel bad if you lose. And then, the one thing we do is on Sundays is, we put the game to bed. Win or lose, so then you can move on. And then we preach to our kids that, it's been an emotional, roller coaster the last 2 weeks, but now this game is put to bed and we learn from it, and then we apply what we learn and move on the next week. You can't let it linger. Our kids understand that and have handled that well. Our captains have done a good job of reiterating that message to their teammates. That's focused on Albright starting on this past Monday, and moving forward from there. And then kind of, again, like I said, learn from some of the things we didn't execute to the level we needed to, from coaching to playing, from the Lycoming game to apply that better, in the Albright game.
Well, Coach, as you mentioned, Albright College is the opponent this week, and the Lions come to town playing very well. They come off a 9-7 victory over an always strong Widener University team. Albright has been a team over the years with size, speed, and a balanced run-pass offense and aggressive physical defense. What do they look like on film?
The same. The one thing about Albright, the times that I've played them, is they're always one of the more physical, tougher teams in the MAC. They're extremely well coached. I think in all 3 phases they're very good in special teams, and they use that as a weapon to make plays, put their offense, their defense in position to be successful. So they cover. They dot the I's and cross the T's. And offensively, the Vignola kid is, I think, one of the best quarterbacks, in the conference. He's gets the ball out of his hand real well, goes through his progressions. He's mobile. He can make things happen. They're big up front, and they can get the run well. And then defensively, this is typical Albright defense. I mean, they're physical, they're tough, but they're athletic and can cover a lot of ground.
Well, Vignola, as you said, is certainly an outstanding quarterback with a lot of ability, a lot of experience, can run the ball, can pass the ball, but he also has 3 very capable running backs to hand off. They have senior Chris Dawson, sophomore Nigel Seeley, who have done the majority of the ball handling carries this year, but they also have a sophomore named Walter Lewis, who only has 14 carries, but he leads the team with 7.1 yards per carry. He has a season-long run of 20 yards, so it's not like he's broken off a carry for 80 yards that inflates his average. So talk about that backfield and what do you see? I
mean, they just, they follow their line. They like to get into, a lot of 11, personnel. So they have a good, H-back, type of a player. They're physical at the point of attack. They run their feet, and the back's good vision. They run hard. They got good speed, so they don't need a whole lot of room, to make things happen. And then, they're smart, in their vision, and they're patient. And then they follow a line, that sets the tone and sets the pace, for them from there. So they've always had good running backs, and they're always able to play multiple guys, in the games, and that keeps them fresh, and keeps their offense, moving. So got to prepare for all of them, and we got to do, kind of try to control the line of scrimmage. That's, where it starts, where they don't give them those little lanes for them to hit, and seams from there.
Well, Vignola also has some good receivers to throw to. It's a very solid group, led by a senior named Malik Jackson, who has 22 catches for 308 yards. But they also have sophomore receiver Mike Jordan and senior tight end Milton Cordero, who have 18 receptions apiece, while junior wide receiver Kyle Dickerson adds 16.
Yeah, I mean, they do a good job. They run a lot of, tunnel screens, and they run them from every formation and, anywhere, on the field. They do a lot of things where they get the ball, out of his hands really quick. And when you have, they're all very talented, deep wide receivers, so you could spread the ball around, which makes it a challenge for defenses. You can't pinpoint on any one guy. And then they run, really good routes. They can get down the field. They have a nice vertical, passing game, and do some things where they sit down in those zones between the linebackers and the safeties. And again, their quarterback, he does a great job of finding, those guys, and then going through his progressions and take what the defense gives them. So it's a very potent, high-powered passing attack.
Well, one weapon offensively that doesn't always get much attention is the place kicker. Albright has had a great kicking tradition in recent years. Dan Sobolewski was a monster for 4 years, and now Kevin Getz is also an offensive weapon, having made 13 field goals the last 2 years, including 3 this season with a long of 47 yards.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to always get that guy, that can bang the long one, and he's very consistent with the field goals that they call on all the time to make. And then they're also very good with their kickoffs, from that deal, and having a kicker that can put the ball in the end zone or a good hang time near the end zone and with good coverage and make the offense go a long way, helps the defense. And then a drive stall and you don't get the touchdown, you can almost automatically put 3 points on the board, with Albright. So that's a weapon that helps them again play well on offense and well on defense. And then again, this kicker's is just the latest in a long line of successful kickers that Albright's had.
What are the keys for your defense in attempting to slow down that Albright offense?
One, we got to do a better job. Like last year, they were hitting us for 5, 6, 7, 4 yards, run. So we kind of control the running game a little bit more and then get pressure on the quarterback. We didn't get, nearly enough pressure last year. On Vignola, he was able to sit back there. I thought we had good coverage initially, but, eventually, it breaks down when you don't get, pressure. And then a couple times he had pressure, he was smart to be able to run, or he found somebody, open. So we kind of, got to control the line of scrimmage and control the run game and not let them, move the ball methodically down the field like they did, last season, and then, get pressure and be able to, make him uncomfortable in the pocket, if we can from that standpoint. We can't give him the amount of time that he had last year.
Well, looking at the Albright defense, they play a base 4-3. Their defensive line is not especially big, averaging about 237 pounds per man. But what does that team have on the front to make up for that lack of size?
I mean, they're very quick. I mean, number 39, maybe the best defensive lineman, in the conference. I mean, he gets off the ball, very, very well. He's very fast, but he also has shot power too to go with his quickness. So he gets in you before you're ready to get into him, but he's got the strength and really knock you back and then totally defeat the block before it even gets started. And they're all kind of quick that way, so they can get to the quarterback, but they also hold up well in the run game. So it's again an Albright defense that usually brings strength to the deal, but it also has athleticism and speed to go along with it.
The Albright linebacking core is led by senior Grant Bowler, who has 35 tackles with 3 interceptions this year, and along with sophomore starters Trayvon Harris-Dorman and Yamir Lowry, those 3 combine to make quite a formidable trio.
Yeah, they're very aggressive. I mean, they see the ball, they run hard to the ball. They get well in the passing lanes from that deal. 10 is very aggressive, does a lot of good things. 6, again, has the picks. So again, they fit well in their defense. They follow the D line and they make them right, and they're seldom wrong. When they fit into the run game. So it's a front 7. That's very formidable.
The Albright secondary has a mix of experience and youth, with seniors Callie Boyce and Alex Isaac Back, along with sophomores C.J. Bradford and freshman Armand Jefferson. Talk about the unit and what they bring to the table.
I mean, they're very athletic. I mean, they don't mind playing man, and they'll put those corners on on islands, and they do a good job with it. So we have to get great releases by our receivers to be able to get into our routes and not get disrupted by them. But then they play mix it up with their man end zone, as well, so they're athletic enough and understand their defense enough to do both. But they play their fair share of man, and they're confident in those guys that do it, and they're athletic and fast enough, and they play very good, man-to-man defense, and also very solid in their zone coverage as well.
The past 2 weeks, the Kings' running game has made a lot of progress, posting the 2 highest rushing yard totals of the season. You've always looked for balance between the running and passing games, so that has to be a good sign. What has been the difference from the early portion of the season to now?
I think when getting the reps with the 2 tailbacks, I mean, they get a little rust to their first extensive varsity action, so they're seeing it, they're understanding the offense. I mean, when Jordan was a freshman, we were a little bit different offensively, and than we are now. So you guys learn the different types of runs and then the holes and the Y2 of the play, and obviously Titus is new to the deal, so the same thing for him. And then also with the line up front, I mean, they're continuing to work hard really well. They get some young guys getting playing time, and the more experience they get, more working together with their calls and working on double teams, and we're seeing much more cleaner technique, better fundamentals up front, and then our running backs better understanding of the play has helped our run game.
Coach, on Saturday we have a very good Albright team coming to town, and this will be our last home game until October 28th. What does the team need to do to be successful this day?
They come out and then be consistent on offense. We get some good drives going, and then we get a couple 3 and outs, and so and basically look at it a lot of times. Sometimes we try to do more than what's asked. So just do the play to the best of their ability, and then be able to move on from that play, whether it was good or bad. So continue. We're very explosive, doing really good things offensively, and just be more than consistent for 4 quarters. And then defensively, make sure we tackle better. We didn't tackle very well. On Saturday, had a lot of missed tackles. From there, which the previous 3 games, we've done a really good job of tackling. So we need to be physical and be short tacklers, or Albright will make us pay. And if we can do that, then we'll play much better defense from there. And then clean up our fundamentals and not allow panic to set in just because we maybe get beat on a player here or there, or then we get a hold or some kind of other penalty from that deal. We need to cut down on the penalties, and then improving the kick game. I thought we made nice strides from Leadville to Lycoming in our special teams, and we need to continue to do that moving forward when you're going to face an Albright team who's very, very sound in the kick game to go along with very good offense and defense.
Well, Coach, that's all the time we have for this week's edition of Kings Spotlight. Thank you for being with us again this week, and good luck to you and the Monarchs on Saturday when Kings College hosts Albright College at 1 p.m. at McCarthy Stadium.
Thank you.